www.vop.ng.
It's a beautiful Wednesday morning here in Lagos. Good morning and welcome to VOP This Morning on Voice of the People Television. I am Chukwuma Okoro, and in the next 2 hours, we have lined up very interesting and trending stories to make your day, to annoy you and to ask questions about Nigeria. Oh well, the first one is that Senator Natasha has slammed Akpabio's Senate and labeled it as the worst Senate in Nigeria's history. Away from that, the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria has approved Tinubu's $21 billion foreign loan to finance the 2025 budget. Quite interesting.
Also on our radar today will be the touchlight as APC fires back at PDP, saying that Nigerians will vote based on performance. So that shows Nigeria should stop all this bickering they're having now. But it is only the vote of the people that will count. And also they are going to vote based on performance of political parties. I am Fina Chiku.
And yes, of course, I am Moses Humphrey, and I would like for you to follow us across social media. The websites and pages on social media scrolling on your screen, do well to follow. There's a number right there. Do well to use that number and be part of the conversation right here. But on YouTube, of course, we are at Voice of the People Television. Now, let's get into some of the conversations. Now, the FCT Minister, Nyesom Wike, has backed Edo State Governor, Monday Akpabio, amid the backlash over comments allegedly warning Labour Party's presidential candidate in the 2023 presidential election, Peter Obi, to seek security clearance before visiting the state. Now, speaking in Benin City, Wike said Obi was politicizing a standard security protocol, recalling that as Rivers governor, he provided logistics for Obi's visit after receiving proper notice. Wike argued that Akpabio never barred Obi, but only requested coordination due to rising insecurity, stressing that leadership is not easy and governors must take responsibility for safety in their states. Oh, well, he's just seeking for attention, if you ask me. That's what Wike is doing. It's really, well, we heard what the governor said. We've dissected his statements, and we've drawn conclusion. Well, a lot of Nigerians have drawn conclusion from what he said. The bottom line remains that it sounds a lot like a threat when you say your security will never, I mean, let's not quote the English, your security will never be guaranteed. And then the allegation that some people died right after he left, which has not been proven. And in fact, in all the clapbacks, the responses that came from the governor's circle, nobody has reacted to that statement. So was it just a statement to rouse the crowd? So, Wike has said his piece. We have heard him. We've heard him. He has said his piece. But I think, like I said, I think I made this statement before. Let me say it again. Political office holders should go for some sort of tutoring. They should learn how to speak in public. They should learn public speaking. It's essential. It's essential, regardless of how you got into office or the certificate you have. You know, the governor's YX certificate came up much later, and it was laughable. But regardless of that, I'm not going to focus on that. Regardless of that, learn. Once you get into office, go for some, classes on public speaking. Learn and try to use those things, and you'll be better for it.
Even if they don't want to learn, I believe they have their commissioners and they have people, SSA to these people who actually help them draft what they say, when there's a public gathering and all that. Talking about...
no, but there are times you will speak off the cuff.
Yeah, but going off the cuff actually is what have landed most of them into trouble, if you ask me. Yes, because some persons wake up and decide that they want to say what they have to say, the way they feel about it, and forgetting that they are public figures, they are office holders also. We have people who will be for and the people who will be against, and people are always ready to read meaning into, to cross the T's that you do not want to cross, or you do not even know that actually are not there, are not crossed properly, and also to help you dot the I's. Now, talking about what happened, and then the warning that the Edo State governor member Akpabio gave, and Wike supporting it, in this particular case, as the Commissioner for Information there in of Edo State, when he was trying to answer questions from another media house, talked about the stampede that happened. And he capitalized on that, saying that was the reason the governor said that before Peter Obi should come into the state, he should tell him so that they'll provide security and then make sure that such fatalities did not really occur again. And, I watched that particular clip for some minutes and they kept on asking to know where exactly, because if you're talking about stampede happening in the state, it is not just what people will sweep under the carpet. No, it should be there so that the people, the world, Nigerians will be made known of what really happening. If the man was talking about the visitation to the St. Philomena Hospital, School of Nursing, and then some other places that Peter B visited that day, and he talked about so much crowd ecstasy and all that leading to the stampede, the loss of 3 lives and all that, and he was asked specifically where exactly does the stampede happen, and he can't even tell Nigerians where it happened. It looks more like that's more like a makeup story to prevent a particular man from moving around. Although the Edo State, people who happens to be there, the executive of the Edo State have come up to say that Peter B is a list of their worries. He's not about politics at this point in time. Besides, the Labour Party does not have any representative in the House. The last person they have also have moved away from the party to another one. But it looks like this particular man now, first he got this particular, he got the backlash first from Benue State. Even when he tried, he gave the governor of Benue State the respect needed to call him to say, I'm coming to your state, I need to be there, these are the reason this happened to be the reason I want to be there. And we saw how that panned out. Hyacinth Alea also did not allow him to be there. And then he visited Edo State. The same thing actually is what we're getting now. And Wike now coming up to say that when he was the governor of River State and Peter Obi also a presidential candidate, that he protected him, saying that the reason for that actually is for people, the opposition, not to say that since Peter Obi is now with the coalition, if anything is to happen to him, then that shows the governor responsible. That shows that maybe the state is a bit porous. And the question now is, what are the governors doing with the security votes that they are picking if the life of people who are in the state or people who want to visit the states are not being guaranteed, if they cannot assure that their lives actually will be protected? That actually should be the question we'll be dealing on at this point in time.
So many questions to ask at this point in time. But they said that best of the same feather flock together because it looks like Wike and Akpabio are of the same stock. But it is interesting to know how governors, how leaders in Nigeria become selective in terms. I've always said that, look, our leaders have some kind of a false sense of accomplishment. Wike said something, he said it is standard security protocol in states because according to him, the governors are the chief security officers of their state. So they are in charge of security in their state. When it is time for P2B to visit Edo State, Monday Akpabio becomes the chief security officer of Edo State. When headsmen, when bandits, when kidnappers kill people in Edo State, the governor says, oh, sorry, I am hamstrung. I am not in charge of the security architecture, the security apparatus in Edo State. Because I'm not in control of the police, I'm not in control of the DSS, I'm not in control of the army or whatever. So you can see how selective our leaders are. It is quite unfortunate to see people trying to defend what is indefensible. I mean, it's very clear to Nigerians. Even Akpabio himself understands that he overreached himself. And the Minister of the Commissioner for Information, his Chief Press Secretary, all his media handlers have been trying to more like control the damage that he did to himself. Unfortunately, they are not able to do that because Nigerians already have an impression that, look, this is more like witch hunting. This is more like political victimization. This is more like 2027. It's 2027 at play, and Nigerians understand all of this. And it is good for P2B because they keep propping him by their actions and inactions against P2B. I think it was Moses that said the other day that the fear of P2B is the beginning of political wisdom in Nigeria, and that is exactly what is happening. Akpabio, try as much as you can. Apart from Wike, go and call other people to come and weigh in and defend you. Nigerians already understand what is going on. So away from that, let's get into another trending topic. Because parents of the Chibok schoolgirls in the Boko Haram captivity have mourned former President Muhammad Buhari and renewed calls for the rescue of 87 girls still missing since the 2014 abduction. Okay, we are still in search of Buhari's legacies. In a statement signed by Yana Galang and Zana Mohammed, the parents acknowledged Buhari's efforts, noting that 103 girls were freed, during his tenure, the highest under any administration. However, they expressed deep pain that many daughters remain unaccounted for. While citing figures from the Murtala Muhammad Foundation, the group urged the government to go beyond rhetoric and take action. It's interesting that we are still discussing the issue of Chibok girls. How many years? I think more than 14 years or thereabouts.
Yeah.
14? Okay, like 12
14,
years now, 12 years. 11 years or thereabout. I'm not very good at mathematics, so you have to pardon me. But it's past 10 years that some of these girls are still in captivity. And you know one troubling thing, one thing that is quite concerning is that the man under whose watch this thing happened, as the state governor of Borno State, who defied order by the Minister of State for Education, Nwesom Wike, asking the school, that particular school, not to reopen for the WAEC examination, is the person now sitting in the position of the vice president of this country. Nothing has happened. He's been there for 2 years. Nobody talks about the Chibok girls again. So it still goes back to tell you how we react to issues as a people. And up until this moment, Kashim Shettima has not answered questions about his activities as the governor, under whose watch Chibok girls were kidnapped. The manner in which girls were kidnapped is still an issue in dispute. How were over 300 people kidnapped in a bus within earshots of a military formation and nothing happened? And the way some of them were rescued, you see them walk back casually and all of that. So many questions, no answers. This is Nigeria for you. Well, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Vice President Kashim Shettima, if there's anything you can do to rescue the remaining girls. I mean, sometimes I find it difficult to wrap it around my head that my daughter was kidnapped. For the past 10 years, I don't even know whether she's alive. I don't know whether she's dead. I don't know whether she's been married off to one bandit or to one kidnapper. It's even traumatic for me to think about it. So that is what case. More than its 7 parents are going through at this moment.
Well, so whether the girls are alive or dead, I think what the parents want is closure. What they want is to know the fate of their daughters. And it's really an unfortunate one that we're still talking about the Chibok girls. Well, you're looking for the legacy of Buhari. There you have it. Over 100 released during his time. So we should give him credit.
Quite impressive legacy.
Yes, we should give him credit. It's about 14 years or thereabout that Chibok girls were taken away, and the world made so much noise about it. And thinking about it now, and then trying to wrap my head around recent statements by Dati Baba Ahmed, where he said, the vice president has done a lot of things, and President Tinubu has tried working with him for this long, alluding to some actions that the vice president has done that are really not good, things that one cannot even mention. So you start to wrap your head around what our politicians do to either get into office or stay in power or enrich themselves. It becomes difficult to comprehend what they do. The issue of Chibok girls, a lot of people have said, look, it was more like a trade-off, and that will forever be a dent on the image of Nigeria. In fact, it was used in movies, the kidnap of the Chibok girls. And years after, we haven't even decided on how they were taken, where they are, whether they are still alive or dead. In fact, we're talking about the Chibok girls. How about, the name just skipped my mind now. Leah Sharibu. Where is Leah Sharibu? Shaibu, yeah. Where is Leah? Where is Leah? She's still alive? Can somebody answer the question? If she's no longer with us, then let us know. Let the parents know, as against just being mute about it. And then by the time we make a lot of noise, a video will come up somewhere. Somebody that looks like her, and they'll say, okay, maybe she has been married off, or she has kids, and the rest. We should protect our own. That's the duty. That's one of the first duties of a government, providing security for its people. In Nigeria, governments from Jonathan era up until now have all failed. They failed in protecting Nigerians.
It's painful, you know. I've been so quiet when we're talking about this particular one, the kidnapped girls, school girls, you know. It reminded me of that year while I was in secondary school, and a little thing happened in school, and I could recall that even the school authority were more worried than some parents too, because they know that if anything is to go wrong with the girls in the boarding house, that you know, it is not going to go well at all. But at this point in time, we're looking at over 100 girls, over 200 girls kidnapped, marched, and we're yet to get 87 of them after 11 years of their kidnap. Anyway, it's a good thing that the parents have come up to call on Nigerian government to say, help us out, bring back the remaining girls, bring back our girls. I can remember I said that too. I also crested a shirt that said, bring back the girls. I'm one of them, you know, because I was then a girl, and seeing this play out this way is heartbreaking. But I pray the government of Nigeria will end the issue of insecurity. I pray they'll have the political will to put an end to this, which have actually put tears in the eyes of parents. I was just imagining, when Chukuma asked a question, it's 7 parents, and I say, imagine a family having 2 girls among the people that have been abducted. But anyway, I wish the families well, and I pray that these girls actually will be reunited to their families, and that's all I can say. Away from that, the legal challenge seeking the reinstatement of suspended River State Governor Siminalayi Fubara has now progressed to the Court of Appeal in Abuja. The appeal was filed by Abuja-based lawyer John Mary Jidobi, who wants the appellate court to rule on whether President Bola Tinubu acted unconstitutionally by suspending Fubara and appointing a sole administrator to govern the state. Jidobi argues that the president has no constitutional power to remove or suspend an elected governor, citing multiple sections of the 1999 Constitution. I saw this particular one. I was like, okay, fine, I guess it's better if the court actually waiting at this point in time to help clarify the sections of the 1999 Constitution as amended, you know, section 1, 5, bracket 2, 176, bracket 1 and 2, you know, and also 180, 188, 189, 305, and 306 of that particular Constitution as amended. Because some persons were talking, you know, it's been a case of, does he have the right? No, he does not. Yes, he does. And no, Nigerians don't even know how it's going to be. If the president has the right to remove an elected official. The other day it was Shetima, who happens to be the vice president of Nigeria, to say that no president has the right to take down an elected executive or elected governor. And he cited that when he was the governor of Borno State, Goodluck Ebele Jonathan wanted to impeach him, but that couldn't actually come up because of the fact that he found that is unconstitutional at this point in time. But we know we had a loophole in that particular section of the Constitution. If the president does not have the right to suspend, or if the president has the right to suspend, does he have the right to have or impose a sole administrator? That's another thing. And on what ground are we going to do this? So when I saw this, that Jidobi actually pushed John Mary, I was like, okay, fine, I guess the appellate court in Abuja now will help us, help Nigerians actually closing the gap and the loopholes in that particular section of the Constitution by telling us whether it is constitutional or unconstitutional. I guess that will also help to end the back and forth the people of River State have been getting or facing, how every member of the State Assembly will be suspended, and even the governor too.
Well, whether it's constitutional or not, I think we've settled that already. It is not constitutional. The only, I think, what the Constitution says is if there is a breakdown of law and order, if there is chaos in a place, the president can. But the terms in the Constitution, does it apply to the case in River State that led to the suspension? In fact, the president cannot even suspend. He can impose, he can declare a state of emergency in a state. A sole administrator can be put in place, but not the suspension of an elected governor. So I think we've settled that. But it's interesting that the case is in court, and we're trying to get some legal interpretation to it. That's interesting. The governor himself has aligned, and he's just waiting to be called back after his 6-month suspension expires, and he will be a good boy when he gets back into office, because he has to finish up his tenure.
Yes, he has to finish up.
He has to finish up. So whoever is in court, just go ahead. It helps us to deliberate and understand the interpretation of the courts.
Yes, Moses, but please don't be too quick in saying that he's been settled, that it's not constitutional for the president to suspend him, because lawyers are also divided. And when you talk about the conditions precedent to declaration of a state of emergency in a state, I had a lawyer here on the morning show, Barrister Clems Agui, you were part of the show, and Clems said, look, that a part of the Constitution empowers the president if he feels that there is a likelihood of a breakdown of law and order in a particular state to declare a state of emergency.
I think I said that here, yes.
Yes, he said that, so it's still in debate as to whether the president has the right, to take out, to suspend a governor. But like you said, it's important that this case is in court. At least the judiciary will now help us interpret the letters of the Constitution for us to know the powers of the president, the limitations that the president has in certain actions that he has taken and in certain actions that he might take in the future, especially not only about removing a governor, but also making appropriations, outside approval by the National Assembly, like we have seen in certain areas, like the purchase of the airplane, the purchase of the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway. So these are issues that the judiciary should ordinarily help Nigerians, to untie so that we actually know where we belong to in legal matters. But what is more concerning to me is the fact that Wike and Fubara have made up. They said, peace, back to Rivers State. And we had an agreement and Wike said, and for those that wants to work with the governor must be ready to work with the governor. And for those that are part of the party, and also that they ensure that all of them are part of the party. So, and in all of this, Moses, don't look at me like that. In all of this, it's close to 1 month now that peace deal, was signed. The ink has dried. And so Nigerians were expecting that, look, maybe in the next 1 or 2 days, 3 days, at most 1 week, that the president will say, okay, Mr. Fubara, come back to office, and all of that is settled. I think
the job of the sole administrator is not done.
His job is clearly not done. He has not conducted the elections, local government elections.
So, it just points to the fact that it was not about whether there was trouble in Rivers State. It wasn't about that. It was about putting certain structure in place
to capture
for whoever
Rivers State.
the president is pleased with.
Yes,
that's what it is. To capture the state. That's what it is.
That is what it
is.
So we don't need to travel far to see what's going on, what is playing out in Rivers debacle. And at the end of the day, Nigerians are still asking who is the real winner and who is the real loser between Wike, Tinubu, and Fubara.
Elections will tell. That's all I can say. Exactly. Elections will tell. I believe people will decide that actually on the day of election. The polls will determine who happens to be the winner. It's not an individual, I believe. Anyway, that's how far we can go, talking about the trending stories that kept Nigerians talking, throughout yesterday and even to this morning. I will go on a quick break. I will come back. We'll look at the front pages of the national dailies. Do well to stay with us.
All right, and thanks for joining us again. Now, let's take a quick peep into newspaper headlines in major Nigerian newspapers here in Nigeria. And we have The Guardian. Let me start with The Guardian, and it says, I beg your pardon. Now, The Guardian says, AGF's office decries government strike in, I'm sorry, I'll take that again. Now, the AGF's office denies government stake in First Holdco PLC, calls this day Arise reports malicious. And the window headlines, Nigeria loses $81 billion to multinationals, tax evasion yearly. 210 trillion naira scandal, Senate accuses NNPCL GCEO of defiance, gives 24-hour ultimatum. Benue killings, 3,160 displaced, 48 homes destroyed, says federal government. Now, the big story, suspense as Tinubu, APC NEC meet over zoning, new chairman. And the most story, Senate approves Tinubu's $21.8 billion loan plan, 758 billion pension bond amid soaring death concerns. That ICC renovation and remaining of public assets, that's the editorial. I'll take that again for clarity. That ICC renovation and renaming of public assets. Reps consider restricting politicians, families to public hospitals, schools. And the stakeholders warn of setback for Nigeria, Africa as US exists UNESCO. And the bottom street headline, tension and security operatives deny Natasha access to National Assembly. That's all from the Guardian newspaper.
Up next is the Daily Independent, and the window headlines at the cover page of the Daily Independent newspaper today reads, "We are working on full implementation of Supreme Court ruling on LG's FG. We import 10 million barrels of crude oil monthly from US, orders Dangote, says Africa losing $90 billion annually on importing substandard fuels." All right, the banner headline reads, "At 2027 election, PDP finally zones presidency to the south. Riders holds neck to address issues bedeviling party. Founding fathers move to reclaim party's legacy. Southeast PDP disowns Odefa as national vice chair ahead of NEC. Governor Adeleke Osun PDP endorsed Tinubu for second term." The story is on page 29 of the Daily Independent newspaper. New tax policy, FG rolls up sleeves to actualize $1 trillion economy target. SEC eyes $500 billion windfall from commodities exchanges, weigh housing reforms. Northern elders warn of flood disaster, seek FG's intervention. Reps seek clear court judgment over Natasha legal standoff. Right after that, Natasha slams Senate after security barred her convoy at Nance. Another bold headline on the cover page of the Daily Independent again today reads, 8 banks meet recapitalization requirements, says the CBN. Right after that, MPC holds policy rate steady at 27.50%. And the bottom strip headline, "You can't celebrate rebased GDP while hunger is killing Nigerians, ADC blasts Tinubu." Those are the stories you'll find on the cover page of the Daily Independent newspaper today.
All right, and then from the Nigerian Tribune, the big story here, confusion persists over APC NEC meeting. Governors NWDC in dark over caucus. Osun PDP leaders endorse Tinubu Adeleke for second term. Interesting headlines. That one got me chuckling. It got me chuckling. Okay. On health, we have owning a smartphone before age 13 linked to poor mental health. All right. Africa losing $90 billion annually to imported substandard fuel. Dangote laments. External reserves hit $40.1 billion in July. CBN governor. Apex Bank maintains lending rate at 27.5%. Says 8 banks have met recapitalization requirements. FG issues fresh flood alerts for 28 states. Akpabio insists Obi must inform him before visiting Edo. These are the headlines on the cover page of Nigerian Tribune.
Okay, let's quickly run through the Punch newspaper with the headline, Senate okays Tinubu's $21 billion foreign loans. And beside the masthead, you have Dangote exports 1.3 billion liters petrol as marketers buy foreign fuel. Attorney General Fabemi's office denies government stake in First Holdco PLC, calls this day /Arise reports malicious. Now the big story, APC may pick Ganduje's successor at make or break NEC meeting with the rider Al Makura, Watda, Dalori top race, lobbying takings, North Central demands slot, constitutional review on NEC agenda. Another bold headline, Israeli protests in Tel Aviv over Gaza food shortages. I'll take that again for clarity. Israeli protests in Tel Aviv over Gaza food shortages. And the bottom strip headlines, article warns Asokwebolo, Wike insists on obese visit clearance. Natasha heads to court after Senate blockade. ADC boils over Tinubu's endorsement by Adeleke Oyinlola. And that's all from the Punch newspaper. And that's pretty how far we can go on newspaper headlines this morning. Moses and I return at 10 o'clock for an extended review of newspaper headlines. Join us again then. We'll go for a short break now, and when we return, we get into the first major topic of discussion. As Natasha attacks Senate leadership, slams 10th as the most disgraceful. Join us again.
We encourage you to click on the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are Voice of the People TV. Also follow us on all our social media platforms. We are at VOPTV Live. Visit our website www.vop.ng for fresh and trending news. Also watch us live on SLTV channel 264. VOPTV, Voice of the People Television.
Is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being of an individual. It's the fundamental right of everyone to enjoy the highest attainable standard of health, without distinction of race, religion, or political belief. On VOP TV, we bring you Health Check, a show that x-rays different health issues and provides solutions with the help of experts in the medical field. Join us every Saturday, 2 p.m. on Health Check. Health Check on VOP TV. Your health, our priority.
Are you ready for the extraordinary? Something big is happening on your screen. Introducing VOP TV. Now streaming on SLTV channel 264. From breaking news to captivating conversations, news analysis, giving you all sides to the story. We break in-depth discussions on the issues that matter, from politics to sports, entertainment, and lifestyle. VOP TV on SLTV channel 264. Join us as we redefine what television means to you. Voice of the People Television, VOP TV. Now you have more than a voice.
Good morning! It's the start of a beautiful day. Well, start your day right with a healthy dose of news, fun, and inspiration. Join us on VOP this morning for the latest news, trending topics, and uplifting stories to set your day on the right vibe. From news and current events to lifestyle and entertainment, you are covered.
VOP This Morning, 8 a.m., Monday through Friday.
All right, welcome back and stand for staying with us. And if you're just joining us, this is VOP This Morning on Voice of the People Television. Senator Natasha Akpabio has slammed the Senate leadership for deploying armed security operatives to block her from entering the National Assembly, despite a court order declaring her suspension unconstitutional. While the Kogi Central Senators, suspended in March 2025, accused Senate President Godswill Akpabio of abusing his office and described the 10th Senate under his watch as the worst in Nigeria's history. Addressing journalists outside the complex, Natasha decried the intimidation by heavily armed security personnel and criticized the Senate's refusal to obey a federal high court ruling ordering her reinstatement. While she emphasized that while Akpabio has personally appealed the judgment, the Senate has not, and he has no power to override her constitutional mandate. Well, we are joined in the studio here in Lagos to make sense of all that happened and more by Barrister Darlington Agomo. Barrister Darlington is a lawyer and political affairs analyst. We also have Mr. Lawal Ekundayo, who is also a political affairs analyst and an educationist. Gentlemen, thanks for joining us on VOP this morning. Yes. We appreciate your presence.
My pleasure. Good morning.
Okay, now we already been joined from our Edo outstation by Comrade Destiny Enabulele. He's a former executive chairman of your Southwest Local Government Council area, also former member of Edo State House of Assembly, and former president of the Conference of Non-Governmental Organizations, CONSCO, in Edo State. He's also a public affairs analyst and political analyst. Good morning, Comrade Destiny Enabulele, and thanks for being part of VOP this morning. Can you hear me? Okay, we will need to establish contact with him. Let's start with the people in the studio here. Barrister, let me come to you.
Okay.
Barrister, something happened yesterday in the precincts of the National Assembly. Heavily armed security men cordoned the gate and prevented Senator Natasha Akpabio from accessing the National Assembly complex. I don't know if you saw the video. If you have the video, we can put it up because it was quite an incident. You know, in company of Aisha Muhammad and a few other people, you know, who led her to the National Assembly. She was barred from getting into the complex. And she's citing that, look, a federal high court in Abuja has declared her suspension unconstitutional. So why is it difficult for the National Assembly leadership to let her in? And she also said that, look, Gospel Akpabio is taking it personal because he personally appealed the judgment. And on his personality, if he appealed it in person, so why is it that the Senate is now preventing her from accessing the chambers? Barrister, what's your reaction to what happened yesterday? Is it right for the Senate to say, Natasha, don't come back until the appeal is heard? What's your take on that?
Mr. Okoro, when the head is rotten, the body is useless. Seriously, I am really disappointed by that judicial ruling, because it is that ruling that is causing this problem.
How?
Now, the judiciary is to do what? Interpret the law. There's no middle ground. No middle ground. Why would the judge say, in her advice, in her opinion, why can't she say, recall this woman because the action you took against her was wrong in law? Even in your own guidelines in the Senate, which says 14 days, why would you do 6 months? For that alone, you are wrong. Recall her.
Okay, I'm sorry, Barrister. Before we proceed, I'd like for you to clear us on the difference between a court judgment, a court ruling, and a court order.
Look, a court judgment, there is no ambiguity in it.
Okay.
Very explicit. And that is what the law, that's what the judiciary stands for.
So does it demand a call to action? If it's a judgment, does it demand a call to action?
If there is a judgment and you didn't understand, that's why you cannot go back to the court for interpretation.
Okay.
But in this case now, we had and we saw and we read advisory and opinion in that judgment, which should not be.
That's what we are trying. Okay, what's the difference between a judgment and a ruling? What is the ruling?
Good. In that you have said what the law is supposed to be. You have interpreted the law. Are you getting what I'm saying?
Okay.
This is the stand of the law in this matter. And there are no two ways about it. Opinion is your own personal opinion, not what the law says.
The opinion,
that means you have judged yourself.
The opinion, was it embedded in a judgment, in a ruling, or in an order? That's what I want us to clear.
But this thing is in that judgment. That's what we are saying. It shouldn't be. The judgment should be explicit without ambiguity. But when you have that embedded opinion and advice in it, that is where the complexity comes in now. But, and that's what the Senate is holding on to.
Barrister, what the court gave, was it a judgment? Was it a ruling?
It
or
was
it
a judgment of the court on that issue. We are now wondering why there should be opinion and advice in the same judgment, which should not be.
Okay, so the court gave a judgment.
Yes.
And then the judge gave her advice or opinion.
In the matter, yeah, which should not be, yes.
Okay,
that is where the contradiction comes in.
Okay, so help us understand what the judgment actually is.
I have said it here now.
Let's separate
the
it
judgment on any matter is
in this particular matter now.
In this particular matter.
Yes.
And I'm telling you, based on what the court will stand for, the court is to give judgment on issues before it.
All right, based on the CTC of this case, I don't know if you've seen it, I do believe that you have. What is the position of the court in this case?
Look, the position of the court now is complex. In a judgment, you shouldn't bring your opinion in a judgment or advice.
So the fact that an opinion was embedded in the judgment,
that was the
complex issue.
Exactly, that was the Senate is holding on to. Meanwhile, this case is very clear to everybody. Okay. You said that the action taken against Natasha was harsh. That it is against their own rule in the Senate that you should do that just 14 days if you want to suspend your own rule. You went against it. Is that not enough for the court to say, based on this and this and this, you are wrong, record this woman?
Darcy, do you think that address which Natasha read out yesterday when she was addressing the press, talking about the 4 ways in which a court ruling can be interpreted, in her words. Now, do you think that in any way is going to help to ameliorate all this challenge that we're seeing at this point in time?
Look, you see, that is why, look, let me tell you, there are three rules of interpretation of status. Okay. You have the literary rule, you have the golden rule, and now wait for it, you have the what? The mischief rule. Have you heard of that? A mischief rule. And most times our court, when they want to create problem, they go for the mischief rule, and that is where most judgments are causing problem. Like this thing that happened now, you have identified that the Senate went against their own rule in punishing this woman. That alone is enough for you to say, no, this suspension is null and void, recall her. Simple.
All right, then.
But you now want to say, in your opinion, in your advice, what are you now advising them? Are you begging them?
Okay. Now that Senate President Akpabio appealed this particular judgment at this point in time, I would like you to, as a lawyer, as a legal practitioner, tell us what you make of that. Because what Natasha pointed out yesterday, she said that Akpabio does not have the right to block her from entering the National Assembly. And then she also have a copy of the appeal saying that it was Akpabio that's suing, not the Senate. So why would they not block her?
Why is this thing going on? Because there was no explicit order.
But does an individual have the right to stop another elected senator from accessing the National Assembly?
No, based on the court judgment now, that's what I'm telling you, that this court judgment is what Akpabio is holding on to. That there was no order to recall her. And that's why they are going to court again. Let us see what will happen at the appeal.
Okay, let's bring our guest from Benin City into the conversation, Comrade Destiny and Abulele. Comrade, good morning once again. I do believe we've been able to sort out your audio quality so we can hear you better now. Please do unmute. Great. Yes, we can hear you. Now, is it safe to say that the courts, tried to give judgments but not fall out with the powers that be by making it a little bit complex?
Mr. Moses, let me appreciate the platform for again extending an opportunity to me to at least, contribute to my own, quota by way of lending my voice to the contending issues as they evolve in this country. To be very frank, I'm a little bit sad this morning because this country is now becoming a comedy of sorts with utmost humility. Some have say that it's a crime scene, but I wouldn't want to use such a harsh word this morning. It's becoming a comedy. There have been some series of comic reliefs from those that are supposed to be very serious with their business, with utmost humility. You see, the lawyer in the studio there, I think he has said so many things that I want to just take one out of it. That our judges, they when they are passing judgment, they usually create a lacuna for further confusion. I must say that. Our judges, we have looked at it. For the past recent years, I have followed our judicial system. So what is coming out of it, my brother, is a far cry. Before this era, we excuse or perhaps send our judges to from other countries of neighboring African, country and so to speak. But today, we are not becoming a laughing stock, a committee of nations. So this is something. So for me, if I'm here now talking, it's because you extend invitation to me to come talk. So if I am talking, I'm talking on your platform. For judges to say my own opinion, you are not supposed to have your own opinion. It is what the law says. So for us, I said it in my last appearance, that with utmost humility, what we have in this country are strong men. It is what they say that is not becoming, law. I once said it. See, Louis XIV, if I'm not mistaken, at the time was presiding that say, I am the state, and the state is mine. So for us as a country, that is that was the last straw that brought the camel's back. So if we can cast our mind back, so this thing happening in the 21st century. For me, I watched with utmost humility. I watched the spokesperson for the Senate yesterday in one of the sister stations. I was a little bit taken aback. These people are taking the average Nigerians for a fool and for a ride. And I don't think as if we, the followers, we, the citizens, I don't think we are ready for the desired country or desired nation that we truly want for ourselves and our children. I don't think so. Because if we think so, if we want a change, for crying out loud, this is enough to call for with utmost humility.
Right,
this is enough to call either we sack this government or we look for a way to make it very ungovernable for them so that they will do the right thing.
Beautiful. Now, Comrade Destiny, let's examine what happened, what has panned out since after this judgment. Part of the judgment or ruling or order, I don't even know what to call it now because we are finding it difficult to know whether it was a judgment, a ruling, or an order. But in all of that, the court also said, look, Natasha, you have to tender a public apology, in 2 national newspapers. So, and up until this moment, that has not been done. Does it look like the Senate leadership is trying to prevent her because she has not tendered that apology? And will it be right for Natasha to try to assess the complex without also obeying part of the orders of the court or whatever it is?
The former U.S. president once said that in Africa, we have strong men rather than strong institutions. That is with utmost humility. That is the political truth. That is the religious truth. That is the moral truth of this whole shenanigan that is happening in this country. Ordinarily, let us be very sincere. Senate president with utmost humility, as the Senate president is representing his senatorial district, so Natasha Akpabio is representing our senatorial district. Because you have been voted to come and pilot the affairs.
Comrade Destiny, I hate to butt in at this moment. Is it proper for Natasha to try to get back to the National Assembly without tendering a public apology?
Well, if you ask me, first thing first.
Which is?
Just what you said just now, we don't know the content of the judgment. Just what you said. But
we know part of the content of that judgment, part of the letters of that judgment is that, look, Natasha, you are in violation of the rules of the Senate. So, as a punishment, as a sanction, you have to tender a public apology in 2 national newspapers to the Senate. That hasn't been done up until this moment. Is it proper for Natasha to try to get back to plenary, to the complex, without tendering that apology? What's your take on that?
You see, let me say this. You see, the Nigerian state has suddenly become a state of the survival of the fittest. You see, Natasha is trying to deploy same energy that they use in removing her from representing her people. You see, a desperate time requires a desperate measure. So for us as a people, I believe that what Natasha wants is to say, okay, since you've refused me for the let me again be in the side in the wrong side of the law. by not, tendering the apologies.
All right, then. Thank
For
you
us,
very much.
if the court has said, okay, go and do X, Y, Z, ordinarily, if we were to be a state of rules and laws, not when, lawmakers are not becoming lawbreakers. Right. So ordinarily, she ought to have tender as, advised or by the law court.
Yes.
But see,
Destiny and Abulele, thank you very much. Let's bring this conversation back here. Now, I was going to ask Barrister this question, but let me bring it to Mr. Ekundayo, and then Barrister, I would also like your take when he's done. How does it make you feel? Because at the entrance to the National Assembly yesterday, Senator Natasha did say that she decided not to obey the court order. I mean, she said it clearly. I will not tender that apology in the national dailies, and then, I will not obey the court order. And then we also have a National Assembly headed by Senator Akpabio, who is also not obeying court order. How does this make you feel about how Nigerians now see the courts, that they decide not to obey court orders, especially politically exposed persons?
Even the federal government doesn't usually obey the court order. We know that so many times. So what I want to say is this. Let me, because there's a question which I need to answer before that. You see, Natasha said that in that court judgment, that the judgment on that one for her to go and apologize is not part of what they brought before the judge. So she's making ruling on something that is not before her. Therefore, she's going to appeal it. The case she brought before the court was the case of suspension, whether it was legal.
And then the court made a ruling on something that is
totally. She added something totally different from it. She now said she's not going to obey because it's not normal for the court to make rule. So that one is clear for our whole.
So she decided not to obey.
Yeah,
whether it was before the court or not, the court made a ruling on it.
No, she said she will appeal.
Well, that's
so
that's
she
where the
appealed. So that one is
come
clear. She appealed. She said she will appeal it. So because she appealed that, she cannot do anything until the appellate court make decision on that. So that one is settled. But the one of the Senate, they didn't appeal. Therefore, that one
they also said they will appeal.
But they have not.
Well,
as
they said they will.
Wait. As of the time she approached the Senate, the Senate
yesterday,
it has not been appealed.
Okay.
If not, she will have been served. See, when you appeal, I don't know, I stand to be corrected. When you appeal, it is when the person you are appealing against has been served, that the person can act on. If that person has not been served, it is as good as you have not appealed. So so you can see. So sometimes you see this our job. I've gone to court many times as if they are ruling. Sometimes they try to make ruling on things that are not part of what you presented. In order to test whether you want to go ahead or not. If you don't, So if you don't want to go ahead,
that's your conclusion.
So it gives them
even probing her, testing if she will go ahead.
If she's not go ahead, she stop. That means the rule it is in favor of the Senate.
Okay.
So they try to create some kind of obstacle before her.
Right,
so for her to just cross it.
Please help us understand this.
Good.
Layman's,
yes. Let me tell you, this is one of the reasons why they say our courts are corrupt. Whether real or imagined, it is because of this type of ruling or judgment. Take the case of Rivers State, because that was exactly what happened here now. They brought a case of defection before you. You left it. You left it. Instead of you to address that, because that particular issue is very important in taking judgment or ruling on the other case that you now ruled upon. Are you getting it? Now, imagine if the court have decided on that particular issue of defection by the lawmakers in Rivers State. It would have helped us to understand whether Fubara was wrong or right.
Okay,
but you left it. Now, in this particular case, yes, in this particular case, listen very well. Natasha went to court against her suspension. Very clear. Now, are you not supposed to say whether it is right or not on that particular issue? Because it's an issue on its own. The contempt came after, because it was in the process of adjudicating on that matter that the contempt of court came in. Now, even if you want to leave the main issue and go for contempt of court, please, there are procedures which you do not follow. Section 72 of the Sheriff and Civil Procedure Rule. Go and check. Before you can even be, the strong arm of the law will come against you. There are processes. Natasha should have been served from 48. Telling her to remind her to come and show cause before the court. Why she should not be committed.
Held in contempt of court.
Yes, why she went against the ruling of the court that says you should not talk about this matter. I am sure if they have done that at that point, maybe through that from 48, Natasha would have even, apologized to the court, and the matter would have ended. You did not do that, too. You did not. Then after that, if she now answer yes or no, it will now determine whether you will now serve her from 49, which is committal. Having refused to exonerate yourself from this particular misbehavior, the court has every right to commit you to prison. That is for 49. Nothing was served on Natasha. So on what ground will you now leave all these processes? You now went straight to judgment and said she will pay 5 million naira. He will do this, he will do that. Was that the main issue?
So is it
the main issue.
Is it right for her now to say, look, I will not obey this until this is done?
It is the court that told her not to obey him or her.
I don't understand.
The court made it impossible for Natasha to obey the ruling, because what they ruled upon was not before them. So that was not what she brought before them. Yes.
According to what you were saying, the court made it possible for Natasha not to obey, and the National Assembly not to obey.
No, the National Assembly have no part in this matter. It is the judgment that is giving the National Assembly this impetus. That was why it was only Akpabio that went to court. Only Akpabio, not the National Assembly. Get it right. Only Akpabio went to court.
But Barrister, there is a case instituted against Natasha by the federal government.
It has nothing to do with this one. That one is attempted murder, whatever.
Okay, exactly. No,
and then that of sexual harassment.
Yes, when we talk about the court granting a prayer that was not asked, I want us to understand this very well. Now, the Senate went to court.
You appeal it.
No, the Senate went to court and said, look, Natasha violated the rules of the Senate. And in the process of giving judgment, the court said, yes, she violated the rule. Did it not?
No, hold on, Ms. Okoro. They didn't. It was Natasha that went to court to challenge her suspension. The Senate did not come here. They don't have a matter. It is Natasha that dragged them to court. And they expected the court to rule on that particular matter. Were they right in what they did? That is, even if you want to punish her, did you follow the due process? Did you follow the rules in your own chambers? There are guiding rules in the Senate that you must not go beyond 14 days if you want to suspend a member. That is what is there. Did they not violate it? You can see. They violated it.
Okay, so
I think this court knows that if they go through that route, the judgment will be heavily against the Senate for overstepping their bound. That was why, I don't know, they now brought advice and opinion into the judgment. And that's what the Senate is holding on to now. Meanwhile, the main issue, nobody have even entered into it. Or are they going to put it aside? Look, I have told you, one of the greatest principles of law is what? Process and procedure.
So now, Barrister,
if you violate it, then every other thing you are doing is null and void.
Now that we're having this oversight, if I'm to call that an oversight, what do you then think will now happen? What this particular case now?
Let the appeal court decide. It's as simple. See, two of them are going to appeal. Let me see whether the appeal will uphold this judgment and on what ground. Let me see how they will uphold it. It's wrong now. Look, these people are destroying everything we hold so strong. That they are doing this to the judiciary is so annoying, seriously. Up to today, The defection in Rivers State, are you aware nobody has touched it?
So does this mean
nobody
that,
has touched it?
Does this mean that the lawmakers now, are not aware of the laws that they've made already, or is it that they decided not to uphold the laws? Because from what Natasha pointed out yesterday, she said something about the people who made the law now going against or defaulting on these laws. You
didn't hear me. I said as of today, the Senate are holding on to the judgment of the court on this matter. So if the court did not make that judgment, I don't think the Senate will have any contrary view or start stopping Natasha from entering the chambers. It is the judgment of the court that is causing this problem.
All right.
Because they are saying that it is an opinion and an advice.
Okay.
That's what they are holding on to. The court should have made explicit order. Record this woman because you went too far in suspending her. You went against your own ruling in suspending her.
All right, then. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Let's move on to another conversation as we keep our eyes on the National Assembly, Senator Godswill Akpabio and Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan to see what happens in the coming days. Up next, Senate approves Tinubu's $21 billion foreign loan for 2025. Let's talk about this when we come back. Join us again. Well, thanks for staying with us. Now, let's get into this conversation. The Senate has approved President Bola Tinubu's $21.19 billion external borrowing plan for the 2025-2026 fiscal cycle, alongside 4 billion euros, 15 billion Japanese yen, a $65 million grant, and 757 billion naira in domestic bonds. Now, the move ensures full funding for the 2025 Appropriation Act. Senator Aliyu Wamako presented the report, while Senator Olamileko Adiola noted the borrowing had already been included in the medium-term expenditure framework and budget. Now, while most lawmakers supported the plan, a few raised concerns about transparency and accountability. Senator Abdul Ningi emphasized the need for clarity on how the loans would be used. However, others like Senator Sani Musa and Senator Adetokunbo Abiru defended the borrowing as aligned with global practices, stressing that the loans are long-term and project-specific. Interested. Well, key sectors to benefit include infrastructure, security, power, agriculture, and housing. A standout allocation is $3 billion for reviving the Eastern Rail Corridor from Port Harcourt to Maiduguri, which, of course, drew praises from several senators. Now, we still have with us, of course, from our Benin station, Comrade Destiny Enabulele, and right here in the studio, Barrister Darlington Agomo, and, of course, Mr. Lawal Ekundayo. So, let me start off with Comrade Destiny Enabulele. Comrade, thanks for staying with us. Now let's talk about this loan. Finally, this took a while in coming. I mean, finally, the approval has been granted, and Nigerians are crying again because Nigerians are looking at the future. This loan is spread to about 20 to 30 years. If you look at antecedents of governments before now, and this particular government as well, if you x-ray the antecedent of government, do you think, or do you believe, or if you have probably an idea of some of these things, do you think these loan, or this loan, will be put into putting up infrastructure that will last 20 to 30 years? Or are we just handing over debts to the younger generation?
I think you've tried to answer the question raised.
No, it's a question. It's up to you. It's up to you to answer the question.
You see,
I just build the premise around it.
For me, there's nothing wrong in borrowing. But again, you ask yourself, what is the borrowing meant for? Is it for 2027? or is it to buy another yacht, or what's it called, to live a lavish lifestyle like a boy that I've just discovered his or her love, his love? That's another thing that we need to look at.
Yeah,
If you try to look at these 2 years of President Tinubu, with utmost humility, administration over 2 years, his borrowing is almost that of Buhari 8 years in office. If you try to look back and look at Tinubu 2 years and Buhari 8 years, from my last, I think it's amounted to all about 57 or thereabout trillion naira in borrowing. But let's come to look at, according to them, they said it's jet towards, infrastructure and what have you. Is there anything to show for this borrowing? For me,
To be excited. I mean, that
Exactly.
this
anything?
at least a rail line will be built and the monies will be provided.
Mr. Moses, will the one that have borrowed thus far, what have they done with the one that they borrowed thus far? That is it. For me, I said it from my. There's nothing wrong with borrowing. Is the borrowing meant for one bed or for tithe and offering? So that's another thing we need to ask ourselves.
So if you're going by antecedents now, would you say that you don't believe that these monies will be used for what it's meant for?
Mr. Moses,
Sir?
with utmost humility, I have not seen any commensurate projects or infrastructure that with what they borrowed thus far. Is it the coastal rail, the coastal line, or whatever?
And that's
That
a
is
different
another
project entirely.
Yeah, we talk about. Not as if I don't know, but I'm a little bit confused. Because I've been presided over, but we have been presided over in a state where you have a governor that is confused. So virtually, almost all of us now, when it comes to the issue of Nigeria as they evolve, almost all of us are now becoming confused, and it's confusing us.
All right.
So for us, we are at a crossroad. For me, but what do we have anything to show in reality that yes, that this thing that is being borrowed is being channeled towards a project that will outlive this generation? You see, they have borrowed our existence in borrowing. They've used our existence in borrowing. What we are trying to guard against now is not to use the existence of our children in borrowing.
Interesting.
That's why we are talking.
Thank you so much, Comrade Destiny. Thank you for your submission. Okay, let's take it to work. We'll have Dr. Chukwunonso Ekesobi, an economist and policy consultant. Good morning, Dr. Chukwunonso. Good to have you join today's conversation. Okay, interesting. Let's get your opinion. How do you feel about this particular loan, which the Senate approved yesterday before going in for their 2 months recession? And do you actually trust, that the government will have what it takes to manage such a large amount of money responsibly, given the fact that we have seen some borrowings also in Nigeria, and some persons are asking where were the monies, or how did we use the money?
Well, I don't blame anyone who has any reservations with the approval by the Senate as far as borrowing is concerned, because if you look at our recent history, you see that borrowing has not really reflected what it should serve, the purpose it should serve, which is to fast track or to accelerate development so that it can improve the quality of lives of people. And when we want to pay particular attention, for instance, to this round of borrowing, yes, they have told us the usuals, those things that are expected of the borrowing arrangement. Yes, it was already captured in the budget. It's already included in the multi-year budgeting framework. That is the medium-term expenditure framework, MTEF. It is good. It has gotten all the necessary approvals. But approvals does not necessarily translate to implementation as far as our recent loan history is concerned. Even when this one is making it look as if, yes, it is tied to projects like they mentioned, agriculture, security, infrastructure. But you see those senators who expressed, though the few, as they would like to put it, who express their reservations as asking what are the specifics So it's not just enough to place heads on this intended expenditure of this borrowing, but what are the details that we need to look at? Because we have seen, for instance, taking this, the most prominent one is this rail corridor. We are trying to the $3 billion. We have seen them take loans for rail projects in the past that took, I think there was one from Daura to Niger Republic and stuff like that. So you see that you have more of non-economic considerations when we take these kind of decisions. And rail infrastructure are very capital intensive. So they should be put towards viable channels, viable routes that have the economic potential to sustain those kind of projects. What is the fate of our existing rail infrastructure? There are some that have not lived up to expectation. How many of them are getting the returns? What about the corruption involved in the ticketing and the revenue accountability and stuff like that? So looking at this round of borrowing, personally, I'm not optimistic because
given the recent economic, will I say current inflation we're having in Nigeria, and also the foreign, economic challenges. Do you actually think that this money or this new loan that Nigeria is borrowing at this point in time, do you think it's going to affect the nation's economy or even the naira or the currency in any way at this point in time?
Yes, we are in dire need of foreign exchange, and the influx of these monies when they begin to arrive in dollar, in euro, in yen, and all that other destinations, we definitely reduce the pressure on our foreign exchange market, no doubt. But beyond that, I was laughing when my colleague in the Benin studio was saying, "Are we preparing ahead of 2027?" But that's you won't blame anybody who thinks that way, because when we look at the antecedents of this same National Assembly that is making these approvals, you won't see any reason for excitement.
Okay.
Because I know in the past, this is somehow linked to what we discussed in the first segment of this program. Because when people have come up to demand accountability or call the attention to the government to the plight of Nigerians, you see the way they are handled. Is it Ali Dume? When he mentioned about the hardship, we saw what happened to him as chief whip. We saw this guy Ningi when he mentioned something about budget padding, and it's this same Ningi that was part of those who expressed reservations on this current borrowing arrangement. Exactly. So you see, but the way they have, suffocated themselves in that National Assembly, I don't have any optimism. Because in the past, we used to have a National Assembly that can challenge debt arrangement or the borrowing plan, where I think it was Shehu Sani, it cost him his seats when he had that issue with the then Kaduna State government about the necessity and the sincerity of an intended loan that was later declined. So are we just playing to the gallery that, yes, we have just fulfilled our righteousness, let us give the government what it wants so we can go and enjoy our recess, and maybe with alerts as well.
All right, Dr. Kosobi, let me stay with you and let's talk a bit of deeper economics. Now, you said that it's clearly a good thing that some of these monies that are coming in foreign currencies, that it might help to stabilize the exchange rate and all of that. I would like for you to understand too, what will be the impact as some of these monies that are tied to projects will also come in material components. Talking about the rail project, if they are sincere in doing that project, you will understand that some of those monies will come in, especially the Japanese and the Chinese ones, will come in material component. How will that also affect the exchange rate? Because it's not going to be a direct inflow of currency. That is one question. Now, the second one is about budgeting. They said that part of this money, in fact, it is at this point that this approval has been made that we will start, in fact, implementing the 2025 budget. Mind you, we also have the 2024 budget that is still running concurrently with this one. So we have two budgets running concurrently. In all of these, how would that affect? I want to go back to where Fina came from, the issue of inflation. If we have so much money, let's discount the material component. Then the other ones come as direct inflow in foreign exchange. How would that help to bring down inflation? Is there a possibility? And I would like for you to help us understand the process of budgeting, the budget process in Nigeria, the implementation. Are we making headway, or are we just running around the same circle every year, year in, year out? Help us understand all of that.
First and foremost, thank you for the question. The aspect of most of the loans coming in as infrastructure and in terms of materials. That's why I said earlier that it is going to provide temporary respite in the foreign exchange market. It's not as if it's going to do much, but assuming these monies were not gotten from, we're assuming these materials and supplies for the projects were not paid for with foreign these loans. If we were to get these loans from the domestic market, from the Nigerian economy, it would have placed serious strain on our current existing foreign exchange market, and our reserves. The reserves do not provide the necessary buffer that can withstand that kind of shock. So it is still a temporary respite. Then coming to the inflationary component, you see, most of I want to borrow some of the languages my students use at times. They throw around. They tell you audio money. Most of these monies where we think we have in this country are not necessarily on ground. We have most of the monies we have are just on paper, and it's quite crazy because you like you rightly pointed out again, the budget is with the approval of this loan that the 2025 budget will effectively take off considerably. So you see, for some time now, we have been praising the government of increasing our budgetary, the size of our budget, the allocation, and the rest of them. But as at July, nothing significant has taken place. So it still brings this problem of implementation and not necessarily inflation, because our inflation is not the imported inflation dynamic. Our inflation is being driven by supply shocks. We have supply constraints because of the weak productivity in the economy. We are not producing anything in the manufacturing sector that can cover what the domestic economy needs. We are not doing much as far as agriculture is concerned. That's why we're having food security crisis and food inflation crisis. These are the inflation component that we look at. Then lastly, when you talk about the budgeting system in the country, like I said, we are just doing so to fulfill our righteousness. We are taking it as a ritual, because if you are to follow budgeting strictly, right from the first call to the preparation to the defense to the approval to the implementation, you will see that there's a lot of gap in between, and that is why civil society organizations, people like us, who have been calling out the government that they need to take budgeting serious beyond paying lip service.
Thank you very much, Dr. Akpabio. We'll come back to you because I have a question I would like you to answer, because you seem to have a good grasp of economics. But we'll have to let Barrister Darlington go at this point. So we'll take a break, allow Barrister Darlington to get into the good work that he does as he gets on with the work that he does, and then we'll come back and continue the conversation with our virtual and studio guests. We still have Lawale Kundayo with us in the studio. So we will be back after this break.
We encourage you to click on the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are Voice of the People TV. Also follow us on all our social media platforms. We are at VOP TV Live. Visit our website www.vop.ng for fresh and trending news. Also watch us live on SLTV channel 264, VOP TV, Voice of the People Television.
Good morning. It's the start of a beautiful day. Well, start your day right with a healthy dose of news, fun, and inspiration. Join us on VOP this morning for the latest news, trending topics, and uplifting stories to set your day on the right vibe. From news and current events to lifestyle and entertainment, you are covered.
VOP This Morning, 8 a.m., Monday through Friday.
Well, thank you very much for staying with us. Now, let's get back to the conversation of the loans, borrowed monies, 21.2 to 21.8 billion dollars. 21 point, the monies are just a lot, actually, a lot. Well, let's come to Lawale Kundayo. Thank you very much for staying with us. Now, should Nigeria set a cap or some kind of a warning signal to prevent our debts from getting out of hand? What would be a healthy borrowing limit for a country like Nigeria?
That's a big question. It's a very big question, because in Nigerian governance, the only thing that concerns is the politicians. That's what concerns them. Anything about them is about the government. Anything about the people is not part of the government. That is the way Nigeria is being run. That is the major fear.
So
and that's why Nigeria is there's a word that I want to add to what the virtual guest said. He used the word comedy. I'll add tragedy to it. There's a comedy of tragedy is what Nigeria is going through. Because each time, okay, you borrowed money a few months ago to buy tractors for agriculture. You are borrowing money again for the same agriculture. Does it make sense? And each time you borrow, you include agriculture to it. And when we see videos and pictures of farms, we don't see tractors there. We see people making use of implements, tools, local tools, hoe and cutlass on the farm, and then you keep borrowing, and you say you put into agriculture. If you borrow in business, are you not going to have a plan of how to play back with the same business you borrow? If you borrow money into a sector,
you are in the agricultural sector.
Even in agriculture, people make money in agriculture. These are countries.
The other time, the president inaugurated some tractors that came in from his friend.
Yeah.
Are you saying you haven't seen those things being used, or could there be certain designated farmlands that take acquisition of those tools, and you probably are not aware of?
See, let me tell you something about tractor. The tractor is called multi-purpose tractor. One tractor can take care of a farm as big as the whole of this local government. One tractor. Really? It's a multi-purpose. It can couple any implement. You can couple any implement to run it. The one that will make ridges, the one that will do, the one that will mow, the one that will harvest. You can couple any implement to it. So one tractor can do multi-purpose work. And now you went to get. Now, this tractor, how do you want to share it? You are telling me you want to share tractor in Lagos State for agriculture. Tell me which area you live in. You can drive around Lagos within 1 hour. Within few hours, sorry. Now, tell me where. Let them show video or pictures of where. Let the press, let them show.
In Ikorodu.
I am not saying that. See, I am not saying there is no farmland.
Okay. No, you were asking where are the farms.
Are you going to put tractor on 4 plots of land on 1 acre of a farm? Are you going to put tractor on 2 acres of land?
How many acres?
It's not productive now.
How many acres will
I said a farmland as big as this the whole of Ajao Estate plus Maflu can take one tractor. One tractor can do the whole work.
Okay, now Mr. Kundayo, let's move away from tractor because the whole money devoted a month for agriculture is not just about tractor. There are other tracks.
They said
like, if you talk about Lagos, we also have fishing.
I've been saying that.
Okay.
I've been saying that over and over again. That all this land filling that you think you are doing business by building houses, you are not doing proper businesses. Because there are the land. You see, the way we map up land, they say land, arable land, and non-arable land.
Okay.
Non-arable land and land that you can't use for agriculture. That's where they concentrate all this just building and factories, and that's where because they know they can't use for agriculture. The arable land, you don't do all these things on the arable land. The arable land is supposed to do the function of agriculture. So if you have a waterway, and you know there are fishes in this waterway, and you are not going into serious modern technology of farming, you say you want a tractor. All this tractor cannot work in all this water. You can't use tractor in water.
That is the point. That is the point. That importing tractors, buying tractors is one track in agriculture. So if you say that we borrowed money the other time, to fund tractors, now we are trying to borrow money
for the same agriculture. I don't understand.
Exactly the point.
It doesn't make sense to me.
No, I'm sorry, Mr. Ekundayo. There are other tracks in agriculture. It's not just about buying tractors. How about fertilizer components?
Wait, let me tell you something.
Okay, so do we have every other thing in place?
See, when you use fertilizer, do you know every time they say they share fertilizers to farmer, they share fertilizer to farmer and everything. And many farmers are complaining that they don't get it. Now, okay, listen, you borrow money for fertilizer. You don't use fertilizer every time. It's maybe twice or maybe once. Sometimes you don't even use fertilizer at all. These days, people are going into organic farming. They make use of manure. That is recycling. They use human waste that we throw away for farming.
Are you saying that the government has borrowed enough for agriculture? That we shouldn't borrow more?
Yes. I'm telling you. Okay, listen. You have an area of insecticide and weedicide for chemicals to do all these things. We are not hearing you talk about all that.
Isn't that part of the agricultural,
the loan?
The loans that they are borrowing.
How long? Since we've been borrowing for agriculture since the beginning of this new administration. Do you know that?
So essentially, what you are saying is that you don't see anything within the agri sector to justify these monies that are being borrowed.
You don't.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't.
All right.
If I stand to be corrected, let them send press. You get it? Let them send press to go and video all these things. I'm coming. See, we have money already. Why, if you know that?
That's you. You are saying we have money.
Wait, let me explain.
No, but the government is saying it doesn't have money.
That's why I said the government is run. When it comes, the government is run in the circle of the politicians. It doesn't get to the Nigerians. Look, you said you remove subsidy, and you save money. You are saying something like, I think 1 trillion every month. People are helping you to calculate. They are not fools now.
But the FAC allocation has increased.
Thank you. Now, if you know you need money in these areas, you need money for infrastructure, you need money for... That is what you said initially, that you are going to use the money that you save some subsidy on.
Okay.
And then you didn't... Now, you are still borrowing. The question people begin to ask, okay, what about the money you saved from subsidy?
All right, we're working with a time frame.
Okay, thank you.
So let's spread the question round. Let's go back to Benin now, where Comrade Enabulele is. Comrade, now part of the loan, part of the plan, the loan is going to be used. It includes local bonds to pay off pension arrears for the average retired police officers or civil servants. Now, what difference do you think this will really make in their day-to-day life? Seeing that just the other day, there was a protest where retired police officers were protesting. Do you foresee the possibility of this loan being put to a payment of their debts? Because what they are asking for, actually, is removal from a particular scheme.
Mr. Moses, Nigeria matter is becoming... I don't know. I'm short of words. I don't know how to describe it. There's no sane, nation or leader that will borrow to pay salaries. It's as if borrowing to do wambe. Go borrow friends from. I say, just put a call across to Moses. I say, Moses, please, I just need 1 million naira. Then I'm going to use it to pepper soup in and be starting in one corner. without having plan to invest to repay. Well, as I've said it earlier, I said they have borrowed our existence. Our existence. What we are saying here, why we are here, is for them not to borrow the existence of our children with utmost humility. I said it
but
earlier.
20,
I said Nigeria is not becoming a comedy. Some said it's a crime scene. You see, I think the last speaker said something earlier. If you look at, he told us from the issue of this administration that the issue of subsidy removal, it is to save for the rainy day. Now there is this issue of subsidy removal, and we are still going cap in hand begging, borrowing, as if we are still subsidizing for fear. That is my worries. That is my worries. I have not seen any tangible improvement to say, okay, we have saved from the subsidy, and this is what we are using for. There's no tangible. There's no shift from the old order. It's the same old story.
Now, comrade, apart from this subsidy removal fund you're talking about, what other ways or what other sources do you think that this government should rely on to help fund our budgets? Because from what we're getting, they say that this particular one is for them to be able to fund the budget to run from 2025 to 2026.
Manafina is very simple. They have to reduce the cost of governance.
Because when we're talking about the GDP of Nigeria, last week we learned that oil actually contributed just 3% to that growth. So help us out.
It is the way you make your bed. That's the same way you will learn it.
Okay.
The way you will eat Manafina in your house, not the same way I will eat in my own house. If you see that your income, your budget, and the size of the population vis-a-vis your income, you have to live within your means. So that if Nigerians, we are very understanding people. If we see that the way you are living is commensurate with what we have and with what you tell us, we will definitely bear with you. But in a situation where you are living in affluence, today in Dubai, next tomorrow in St. Lucia, the other day in Brazil, and here I am in my cocoon, in my village, begging for food to eat, and you want me to bear with you or to tighten my bed when you are not tightening your bed. But there's something amiss.
But look, let's look at
we are not telling ourselves the truth.
Let's look at the places where the government wants to put this money in: infrastructure, power, agriculture, and a whole lot more. And Nigeria, is Nigeria as a nation now having deficiency of all this? And don't you think it's needful, actually, for a country like us, with over 200 million population, to have, every other thing that we need, even housing also, for Nigerians to live well?
I think you will agree with me that the issue we have in this country, one of the conduit pipe that they used to siphon our collective patrimony, as we speak very just now, is this issue of security. With utmost humility, all the various security, formations, the actual of the big organs, they are all source of wastage in these various security formations. What are they doing? Do we have security in this country? They are busy buying, building estates in Dubai, buying this thing in UK, in Italy, in Venice.
Right,
so the issue is this, which is very simple. Excuse me. Okay. It is very simple. We must look at it.
Well,
and the issue of agriculture.
Okay. Yeah.
When as we speak, no security, and the people can no longer go to farm.
All right,
where are you investing it?
All right, then. Thank you very much, Comrade Destiny and Abilene. Now let's take our next question to Dr. Akesiobi. Doctor, quickly, as we wrap up this conversation now the government plans, there's this $2 billion local FX bond. Please help us understand how it works, because we do understand that this government plans to raise dollars locally instead of going abroad. Now, for those of us that do not understand economics, what are the risks? What risks come with this? And help us understand it.
Well, firstly, I find that very strange, because you are running a naira-dominated economy, and you are seeking a dollar route in this same economy. One, you are trying to increase the pressure on the little available dollar in circulation. That is one. And two, the government is maybe afraid of will I say, creating unnecessary anxiety in the market, because there is a limit to which you expect the government to borrow. Normally, I think we have a debt plan in this country that looks at how the composition of external debt to domestic debt, look at the ratio of debt that government is sourcing within the financial sector and outside the financial sector. So it is being careful not to maybe it is being careful not to make these loans the naira denomination, because it may spark up the conversation of whether the debt is trying to crowd out the private sector. Because if the government it becomes too active in the domestic financial market, there is the risk of this crowding out that is making funds that would have gone to private sector operators very, very minimal. And that will also have its own effect on investment, the investment environment in the country. So it doesn't really speak well as to what we intend to do, because it will indirectly place more pressure on the foreign exchange market. You see, when we said we did foreign exchange unification, that gap between the official rate and the parallel market rate, you see it beginning to widen again, and speculators are beginning to gradually take advantage of that. So maybe the government could not seek for, or could not get these funds from other sources externally, and decide to go through the local route. But while it is doing so, how is it ensuring? See, that's why I said we need to look at the specifics of this approval.
All right,
how is it ensuring that this loan does not mortgage the future generations coming, like our guest in Benin has been hammering on? How are we sure that we are not jeopardizing the relative stability that the central bank is trying to achieve?
These, of course, are the questions on the minds of a lot of Nigerians, the future, because the payment plan for this loan stretches between 20 and 30 years. So we start to wonder, will our children...
Years. It doesn't mean that we'll just fold our hands and wait till 30 years. There are some, the debt servicing, you see, now we are at the position where the debt servicing and our expected revenue in our budget are almost moving neck and neck. So it doesn't really speak good as far as our fiscal stability is concerned. So it's something that our policy watchers should actually pay close attention to.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Akpabio. We would like you gentlemen to stay with us as we get into our final conversation for today on VOP this morning. APC fires back at PDP, says Nigerians will vote based on performance. Let's talk about, the politics proper. Join us again, there's plenty more still ahead.
Glad to have you back. It's still VOP this morning. The All Progressives Congress, APC in Lagos, has said that Nigerians will judge political parties in 2027 based on their performance, not propaganda. In response to a PDP statement claiming no patriotic Nigerian would vote for the APC, Lagos APC spokesperson Sheye Oladejo described the position as disjointed and moribund. He dismissed the PDP's remarks as baseless and lacking objectivity. Oladejo stressed that the APC remains committed to national growth, citing achievements in infrastructure, digital economy, and agriculture. He said Nigerians are intelligent and will assess each party based by its sincerity, vision, and ability to govern effectively and not emotional rhetorics. We still have with us in the studio Lawale Kunjara, an education is a farmer and a political analyst, and also we have Honorable Comrade Destiny Nabulele, who happens to be the former executive chairman of Yes Southwest Local Government Area Council in Edo State. And then we have Dr. Chukwunosowe Kesobi, a lecturer, also an economist and a policy consultant. All right, thank you so much, gentlemen, for being with us. Let me start off with you, Comrade Destiny Nabulele, as a politician at this point in time, and one who have actually tested power. We're getting this particular revelation from APC spokesperson here, saying that in Nigeria, as a point in time, that, well, I say posterity will be what Nigerians will be looking at based on the activities or the actions of political parties, achievement and infrastructure, or even any other achievement that a political party have measured is what Nigerians should be voting in at this point in time. As a politician, can you say same as Nigeria is at this point in time, or that APC as a Nigerian to start with? I would like you to unmute your device if you can hear me, Comrade Destiny.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Yes, I said this is quite laughable. When I read affairs, I had a flip, I saw it, and I just, in my bedroom, I just laughed. I said, hey, APC, they've come again. You see, what they want to do is simple. You can see in what the news you guys are getting from Edo, there's nothing short. See, they are test running. You know, there was some time ago, about a month ago, or 3 weeks ago, when one of the aides to the governor said that anywhere they see poster of any political party or candidate outside APC in Edo, he's going to be liking to, smoking them out in Edo. And not too long ago, you heard from the quote unquote the INEC governor, where he said that before you enter the state, you must take permission. And some of my friends, we are having a get-together this Sunday. I think they've applied to grant them access or entrance to enter Edo State. And not too long ago, about 2 or 3 days ago, you heard the APC chairman, with utmost humility, a man that by now ought to have been, learn how to put words together. I know I learned that in primary 4, primary 5. He said it again, that this APC state, and anybody that tries, he said they will start by the July, it's not July 6 or July 18, rerun election, the senatorial and the reps election. That anybody that tries to raise shoulder with APC in Edo, that they will smoke them out. You should have the news item. So for them, they know that ordinarily, if we say, okay, let's go for a free and fair election, with utmost humility, the APC government as it stands today, they will not get 15% in the Nigerian vote. Right today's date down, if we were to be free, fair, and credible, they will not get 15%. So what they are after, I want Nigerians to be at alert. That is, see, my comment here at any time, at any opportunity given by your platform, it is to let Nigerians to be at alert, because to be forewarned is to be forearmed.
But according to the APC spokesperson, he was of the opinion that Nigerians are intelligent enough, and Nigeria is going to assess every party sincerely with what the party have done, not with emotional rhetoric. So don't you think that it's left for Nigerians at this point in time to do that?
Madam Fina, I know that you are a very, very sensitive and very intelligent journalist. You are an investigative journalist. I know you too well. What they are trying, you see, they want to say something different and do something different. So Nigerians should not wait for this emotional blackmail. This is an emotional blackmail. Nigerians should be at alert. That is my call this morning. Because what they are after, you see, after 2027, you will say, this guy said it that time. What they are after is, you can see the smoke screen from Edo. They begin to, that is what they're after. I have friends within them. See, in my federal constituency, if we were to do free and fair election, APC in Edo, as it stands today, they will not win that election.
Okay.
And what they are going to do is to use the security formation arsenal.
All right.
To cajole the people, to coerce the people in a commando style.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Comrade Destiny. We're pressed for time. So let's get the opinion for another guest. Let's get Dr. Chikuno Sekesobi join the conversation. What do you make about this statement made by an APC spokesperson? And how intelligent do you think Nigerians will be, in 2027 for them to be able to cast their votes the way it should be, looking at or assessing, the party, any party sincerity or vision or even achievement of each political parties thus far in Nigeria?
Well, when you see PDP and APC trading words, it's just like a pot calling kettle black. All of them there's no difference. It's just like 6.5 dozen. There's no difference between the two of them. Both parties are a colossal embarrassment to the Nigerian state. And it's so unfortunate that these political parties, whether at the federal or state level, have succeeded in weaponizing poverty, have reduced the psyche and the morale of the average Nigerian, not to even consider performance when it comes to making electoral choices. Rather, the only thing at the back of their mind will be survival. After all, it is somebody who is alive that will start assessing between performance and propaganda, just like you said. So it's very unfortunate that the state of the average Nigerian now is on survival mode. The person just wants to eat. So anybody that comes, with the bigger offer at any election cycle, you see people succumb to whatever incentives or whatever gifts, as it were.
Okay.
That is
all right.
available.
All right. Dr. Kesobi, talking about election cycle, I like the fact that you talked about PDP and APC being like the pot and the kettle, calling each other black. Now, APC is in government now. They are in power. Why is it that any time the PDP or even Labour Party or ADC, any other party, tries to interrogate the performance of the APC keeps making reference to, okay, what did you do when you were in office? Instead of defending their actions and inactions. Does it look like they are jittery? Because when we talk about performance, when Nigerians talk about performance, I think if APC has done well, they should be bold to say, okay, come 2027, let's see what happens, because we are going to waive our performance card. But they don't do that. They always keep referring PDP. Oh, you spent 60 years and did nothing, instead of defending your actions. Does it look like they are jittery?
They should be jittery. What performance do they want to display? Okay. Is it that they completed 30 kilometers out of 700 kilometers of the Lagos Calabar? Is that this thing they want, the report card they want to display? Is it that they told us that in 6 months they will end this electricity problem in the country? Only to come and reinforce the darkness we have been experiencing. Is it that they told us they will give us renewed hope? Now we are experiencing renewed misery. What are the indicators of misery? You look at inflation, like you have pointed out. What are the only way they can achieve growth of the economy is on paper. That is why they went to rebase the economy overnight and trying to now create the impression of artificial growth. Is it unemployment? What are we doing? So you see, that's the point I'm trying to make, that the APC sometimes parades itself as an opposition party. I don't know if they have actually come to the realization that they are actually the government in power.
All right, so thank you very much, Dr. Kesobi, and we are out of time. I'll take that as a concluding thought. Good to have had you on VOP this morning. We appreciate your presence. Now let's come back to the studio. Mr. Lawale Kundayo, PDP and APC, what do you think? Action and reaction, are they equal and opposite?
No,
like they say
it's clear that they are not equal. No.
Okay, so what is it?
They are not equal at all. Because when President Olusegun Obasanjo was in power, he focused on clearing of the debt, because he knows the side effect of the debt on the economy. So he focused on it and he was able to succeed in clearing it. So when Yaradua was in office, he reduced fuel price by some change. He didn't bother to even increase it. So, and then when Goodluck was there, even though we were having it, but still a bag of rice and food stuff were still very, very affordable. Now we have something, we are being returned back to our problem before Obasanjo was in power. So you can see there's a big difference between the two. I'm not saying that PDP is fantastic, but I'm saying that PDP is far better than APC. Totally far. They are not even the same. They are totally different. PDP is far better than APC for now. Then I'm so happy with what this man said. I wish it would be like that, and I pray that God, who created us, will make it like that.
Which is what?
that it should be by performance now.
Okay,
that Nigerians are wiser.
Okay.
And Nigeria are wiser now because I went to the market to buy rice. They are telling me that the price of rice has increased again. I told them, but yes, last month it was. She said that was last month. I should go back to last month and buy my rice.
All right, then. Thank you very much, Mr. Lawale Kundayo. Nigerians are supposedly wiser. They were wiser in 2023, and APC happened to them. Change before change, and all of that. Oh well, this is where we have to end this conversation this morning. It's been quite interesting, incisive, and educative. We had with us here in the studio Mr. Lawale Kundayo, who is an educationist, a farmer, and a political analyst. And from our Benin outstation, we were joined by Honorable Comrade Destiny Enabulele. He's so many things, former executive chairman, former member House of Assembly. He's also a political affairs analyst. And from our Oka outstation, we had Dr. Chukwunoso Ekesobi join us. He is an economist and a policy consultant. And we also had Barrister Darlington Agomo, who left after a certain conversation to do something else. Gentlemen, we appreciate your presence, and we thank you for being available for us on VOP this morning. We hope that we can do this some other time, probably next week. We appreciate your presence, and thank you very much. Now, on behalf of the backroom staff, talking about the technical director, the ingest manager, sound engineer, and the bus manager, and on behalf of my colleagues here, Moses Humphrey and Fina Okechukwu, I am Chukwuma Okoro. Join us again. Moses and I return at 10 o'clock for newspaper review. Bye for now, and enjoy the rest of your day.